The phrase "Christ is King" is currently moving through right-wing political rallies, podcasts, and social media at a rapid pace. While it carries the language of faith, the current movement uses it as a militant rallying cry. The goal is to see biblical law enforced by the machinery of state power. The dominant narrative portrays this as a grassroots Protestant revival, a homegrown effort to reclaim American culture. Tracing the specific history of this political slogan leads away from modern American revivals. The lineage stops exactly 100 years ago, inside the Vatican. Following World War I, the collapse of global empires gave way to the rise of secularism and communism. In 1925, Pope Pius XI responded to this shift with an encyclical called Quas Primas, which officially established the Feast of Christ the King. The encyclical was a calculated counteroffensive. Pius declared that lasting peace required both individuals and states to submit to the institutional rule of the Church. Pope Pius XI engineered this feast day to assert the papacy's absolute authority over secular governments. The immediate fallout of this decree manifested in Mexico, where a secular government was already clashing with the Catholic hierarchy. Catholic militants launched an armed revolution against the state, using the literal battle cry, "Viva Cristo Rey," "Long live Christ the King." This was a bloody 3-year conflict supported by the church hierarchy to force religious dominance over the nation's constitution. The modern slogan carries the DNA of this 1920s uprising, where the phrase served as a call to topple a secular state by force. Curious, if this was a strictly Catholic strategy, we have to ask how historically anti-Catholic Protestants ended up adopting it. In the 1960s, the Second Vatican Council, or Vatican II, initiated a series of liturgical reforms. Pope Paul VI moved the Feast of Christ the King to the end of the church year, a strategic shift designed to align with other denominations. This new timing was locked into the revised Common Lectionary. This administrative update synchronized the Catholic and Protestant liturgical calendars, placing the feast day on millions of Protestant pews. By 1982, this calendar update made Christ the King Sunday a standard fixture for millions of Protestants who had previously ignored the concept. This liturgical shift arrived just as conservative Protestants in America were undergoing an aggressive political awakening. Leaders like Jerry Falwell began seeking new ways to combat secularism. They joined forces with Catholic donors and activists within organizations like the Council for National Policy. These Protestant groups adopted the Christ is King framework because it offered a structured way to demand an institutional theocracy. In their effort to win the culture war, these Protestants began serving as foot soldiers for a century-old Catholic institutional agenda. The New Testament Great Commission focuses on changing hearts through spiritual discipleship. The political Christ is King movement instead prioritizes state-level legislation of morality. This movement replaces the New Testament's decentralized spiritual kingdom with a visible political empire. When the church picks up the sword of state power to force obedience, it moves away from the spirit of the gospel. Merging church and state refashions the faith into a tool for worldly oppression. This history culminates in the present day, where traditional Catholics and right-wing Protestants march together under the same banner. This movement uses divine language to mask a very human thirst for control. When religious movements prioritize institutional dominance, they create a counterfeit version of the kingdom they claim to represent.